Hello, and welcome to my 100th YouTube video. 100! 100 videos seem like something to celebrate. It's kind of a milestone in some ways or other, and so I thought about it for a few minutes, trying to think of what would be the best thing to do on my 100th video. I shouldn't just make it some everyday video, I should do something special. So, because I didn't have a ton of time, I decided to do something simple and special. I decided to talk about found poetry, and to write you a found poem. Now, found poetry is a kind of poetry where you actually don't write it yourself. You just find little bits and pieces of poetic-sounding phrases and pile them all together. So you might find a cool phrase from a magazine, you might find a cool phrase from a television show, you might find a cool phrase that your friend says, and you write them all down and mesh them together to make them sound like a cohesive whole. It's really more of an exercise in synthesizing than it is in creating. Found poems are interesting because they repurpose language, and they repurpose ideas that other people have used. And so what someone said casually in a conversation suddenly becomes part of a poetic sequence. They kind of wake us up to the fact that language is very mutable, and that something that I say now can completely have a different meaning in another context. So my found poem for you today, in order to celebrate my 100th video, has gone back and pulled phrases from the last 99 videos, and I piled them together and tried to make them into a cohesive whole. So, if you're sharp and you've gone and watched a lot of my videos, you might be able to hear where these phrases come from, even though they may not sound the same now that they're in a very different context. My found poem. What's the point of a beginning? Not just generally, but specifically. What does it mean to be noble? It helps to link us to each other. It shows us the pain of human existence. Yes, all the words will be there, but without your heart, you can't love appropriately. Everybody is struggling for power. Everybody is trying to gain, which sounds like a pretty sad topic. That's how we mostly are. At least, we have thick peelings. Wait until the break in the pattern to know the difference between comedy and tragedy. How about this one? It's not actually tragedy. It's not actually comedy. It's like that heart ripped out of your chest and crushed and planted with flowers in a pot and given to your grandmother. What's not to love? It's all about love. Love certainly is a nice emotion and plenty strong, and yet it seems so simple and so small until the break in the pattern. When two clauses really love each other, they say, I semicolon you. I like to affix things too. There's so many things I can't see. I very much felt blind most of the time, kept trying to feel significant, but didn't. There's probably a lot of things going on in your brain. Poetry and sunshine, the daffodils, the jonquils, the buttercups. They're actually all the same flower. A fish who's been an inspiration to us all. It's what you would call a romance. Make sure you go outside and quote poetry to it. Okay, so it's a little rough, but it comes 100% from my other YouTube videos. So maybe for the 200th YouTube video, I'll be a little bit more polished in my found poetry. Thanks so much for watching. You can click up here to subscribe, or you can click down here and hear me talk more about poetry. I'll see you next time.